Have you ever seen a video that starts with one question and ends with an entire country's history being debated? Well, that's exactly what's happening right now. A South African content creator posted a video comparing Ghana and South Africa, and instead of throwing insults or making emotional arguments, he did something unexpected. He started asking an AI question after question about Ghana's infrastructure. But does that actually prove anything? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see why this debate is a lot more complicated than it first appears. But before we break it down, let's listen to what he had to say. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Now let's get back to the video.
Wimtanam.
Yes, Daddy.
Kwasugalok.
Asin Sabi.
What is the first sub-Saharan country to gain independence from British or European colonization?
Checking that. Ghana. 6 March 1957.
On 6
This
March
was the first
1957, when the independence was announced in the location that it was, the facility, was it built by an independent state or was it built by British colonial rule?
Checking that. The independence ceremony was held at the old Polo Grounds in Accra. The old Polo Grounds already existed during British colonial rule. That's where Kwame Nkrumah proclaimed Ghana is free forever at midnight on 6 March 1957.
Okay. Now tell me, what about the Ghana's with the international airport? Originally, what was it before being converted into
Checking that.
an airport?
It was originally a British Royal Air Force military airbase.
So the strips and the runways were built by the British?
Checking that. Yes, the airstrip and runways were originally built by the British.
Okay, I'm trying to find out. On June 22nd, 1939, there was a 6.4 magnitude earthquake in Accra. What was built there as suburban communal housing, and is it still being presently utilized today?
Checking that. After the 1939 earthquake, the British Colonial Administration built suburban public housing estates to rehouse people who had lost their homes. The main estates were in Korlegono, Osu, Christiansborg, South Labadi, Kanishi, Sabonzongo, and Abosi Okai.
Okay.
Most of these communities still exist today.
Okay. Now, could you tell me about the University of Ghana? When was it built?
It was founded on 11th August 1948 during British colonial rule.
Okay, what about
It
the
was
Tamale
established as-
Technical University?
Checking that. It began in 1951 as a trades training center during British colonial
Okay,
rule.
wait. What about the University of Science and KNUST? When was it built?
Checking that. KNUST traces its origins to the Kumasi College of Technology, established by a government ordinance on 6 October 1951
Okay.
during British colonial rule.
What about the Accra Central Police Station?
Checking that. Accra Central Police Station was built during British colonial rule.
Okay,
The
what
main
about the
central police station-
military Burma Camp?
Checking that. Burma Camp was established during British colonial rule during the Second World War.
Okay. What about the so let's say something like the cocoa processing facility?
Checking that. You mean cocoa processing facilities. Key ones were established at different times. West African Mills Company in Takoradi was established in 1947 during British colonial rule.
Okay.
Starting production
I-
in 1949.
Oh, okay. I want the Ghana's Broadcasting Corporation facility.
The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation also began during British colonial rule. Broadcasting started on July 31st, 1935, under the British colonial government.
What about Adomi Bridge?
Checking. The Adomi Bridge was planned and built during British colonial rule.
What about the psychiatric care hospital in Accra?
The Accra Psychiatric Hospital was established in 1904 during British colonial rule.
What about the most prestigious schools in Ghana?
Most of Ghana's most prestigious schools were established during British colonial rule. Examples include Wesley Girls High School, 1836, Infant Cyprian School, 1876, Addisonville College, 1910, Achimota School, formerly Prince of Wales College, 1927, St. Augustine's College, 1930, Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, and Prempeh College, 1949.
Okay, what about the Supreme Court building?
Checking. The Supreme Court building in Accra was built during British colonial rule.
What about
Foundation
the
stone.
presidential abode?
Checking. If you mean the presidential office and residence, the original Flagstaff House was built during British colonial rule.
What about the railway system and the Central Railway Station and railway line?
Checking. Ghana's railway system, the railway lines, and central railway stations were largely built during British colonial rule.
What about the Takoradi Harbour?
Checking. Takoradi Harbour was built during British colonial rule.
What about the National
Construction began-
Museum?
Checking. The National Museum of Ghana was opened on 5 March 1957, the eve of Ghana's independence. So it was established right at the transition between colonial rule and independence, not deep into either period.
Who built it?
The National Museum of Ghana was established by the Gold Coast Public Works Department, designed by British architects Denny Slaston and Lindsay Drake.
What does Matthew 7 verse 5 say?
Checking. Matthew 7 verse 5. You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye.
Yes. I will show. 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 Hi, Macho. Hi, Macho.
The creator begins by asking when Ghana gained independence. The answer is straightforward. Ghana became independent on the 6th of March, 1957, becoming the first sub-Saharan African country to achieve independence from British colonial rule. He then asks where the independence ceremony took place. The response says it was held at the old Polo Grounds in Accra, a site that already existed during British colonial rule. Then he moves to Ghana's main international airport. He asks what it originally was before becoming an airport. The answer explains that it began as a British Royal Air Force military airbase, with the runways and airstrips originally constructed during the colonial era. At this point, you can already see the direction of his argument. But he doesn't stop there. Next comes the 1939 Accra earthquake. He asks what was built afterward. The answer explains that the British colonial administration constructed public housing estates to accommodate people who had lost their homes, mentioning communities such as Korogano, Osu, Kenchi, Sabin Zongo and others, many of which still exist today. Then the questions start coming even faster. The University of Ghana? Founded in 1948 during British colonial rule. Tamale Technical University? It began in 1951 as a trades training center. KNUST? Its origins trace back to the Kumasi College of Technology established in 1951. Accra Central Police Station? Built during colonial rule. Burma Camp? Established during the Second World War under British administration. Cocoa processing facilities? One of the major early facilities in Takoradi was established in the late 1940s. The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation? Broadcasting began in 1935 under the colonial government. Adomi Bridge? Planned and built during the colonial period. Accra Psychiatric Hospital? Established in 1904. Several well-known schools? Many were founded before independence. The Supreme Court Building? Built during colonial rule. Flagstaff House? Originally constructed before independence. The railway lines and major stations? Largely built during the colonial era. Takoradi Harbour? Also developed before independence. Even the National Museum comes up. The response explains that it opened on the eve of independence in March 1957 and was designed by British architects through the Gold Coast Public Works Department. Finally, the creator ends by quoting Matthew 7 verse 5. "You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." He then adds that he is not the person in another video, and says he is making an educational video about the advantages and disadvantages of what was said. Now, this is where things get interesting. It is historically true that many public buildings, roads, railways, ports, schools, and government institutions in many African countries, including Ghana, were established during the colonial period. That's not unique to Ghana. Similar histories exist across much of Africa because colonial governments built infrastructure to administer territories and support economic activities, often centered around extracting resources and facilitating trade. However, that doesn't tell the entire story. Independence wasn't about pretending nothing existed before 1957. It was about Ghanaians gaining the right to govern themselves, make their own laws, and determine their own future. Many of those colonial-era institutions have since been expanded, modernized, and managed by successive Ghanaian governments. Airports have been upgraded, universities have grown into world-renowned institutions, roads have been extended, new hospitals have been built, and many additional public projects have been completed since independence. The same principle applies to many countries around the world. Nations rarely start from a completely blank slate after becoming independent. They inherit infrastructure, institutions, and challenges, then spend decades shaping them according to their own priorities. That's why historical discussions like this can easily become misleading if only one side of the story is presented. History is rarely black and white. Yes, colonial administrations built significant infrastructure. Yes, independent African governments have also built, expanded, and transformed their countries over many decades. Both of those statements can be true at the same time. Perhaps the biggest lesson from this entire debate isn't about who built what. It's about understanding history in its full context instead of using selected facts to score points in online arguments. After all, history should help us learn, not simply win debates. So what do you think? Does pointing out colonial-era infrastructure change how we should view a country's post-independence achievements? Or should both the colonial legacy and the progress made since independence be considered together? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments, and if you enjoyed this balanced breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more discussions on history, current affairs, and Africa's fascinating stories.